Hello, everyone. My name's Aiden Kirkegaard, and I am a painter, and I actually just moved here from Kelowna in the Okanagan of BC. And yeah, I'm really excited to be getting to study at Emily Carr. Maybe a little background on me. I completed my BFA from the University of British Columbia in Kelowna in 2020, and have kind of taken the last 2 years since then to build up my art practice, paint lots, be in the community in Kelowna, and now I'm here. Um, so, why don't I start talking about my work? As an artist, I use the practice of painting to explore childhood memories and emotions that are associated with domestic space. And so here is just an example of a work like that. An earlier work, I kind of started thinking about these themes in my undergrad, and kind of in my final year, in my fourth year of my undergrad. And so this is a painting from 2019. Woke up to a chore list. I wish I was a unicorn. A lot of the work is kind of drawing on humor in the titles, and kind of poking fun at maybe some of the memories that I have as a kid. But it's also, I'm trying to kind of create this sense of like a dreamscape, um, through kind of these, references to architecture, but they're also often not very realistic, or they're kind of like these planes of color. So here is, I thought I'd just add a photo of kind of my process of working and kind of where a lot of these started, and kind of a huge part of kind of how these paintings progress. And so these are just some sketches. I printed off photos of my childhood home, some of the interesting architecture, and then just went in on 8 by 11 sheets of paper, very simple and like very, for sketching purposes, kind of painted on top and kind of created these spaces. And a lot of these um, have become kind of reference points for future paintings that I'll show you. And this is kind of a key way of working for me, by kind of taking a very clear kind of photo reference of home, and slowly abstracting it through my painting process. So, the gestural brushstrokes in my paintings often refer to memories and movements of family life, conversations, feelings. And like I kind of mentioned, the architectural spaces of home are often referenced through kind of simple planes of color, and they reference various kind of nooks and corners of the homes that I grew up in. I'm kind of drawing on usually two homes that I grew up in. And so here is another one. Her blue ball bounced as they closed their eyes. And again, just kind of thinking about these marks almost being these like living things or representations or kind of traces of what might have happened in that space. So here's another work, also at a lot larger of a size. My last one was 11 by 14 inches that I showed you. This one's 4 by 5 feet. And yeah, this one is called "I Always Have to Load the Dishwasher." No, you don't. Um, and yeah, I for me, again, the titles are kind of important in, um, adding some humor, but then also, drawing on kind of the more personal side of the work, which is the memories that I actually have specifically to myself. So here's another work. Woke up to a bird song. This is 3 by 4 feet. I really am interested also in exploring color and, um, what that can kind of do, as well as medium, using different acrylic mediums. I primarily work in acrylic. I really enjoy kind of like the quickness of it, and I find that is really suitable in the way that I enjoy painting. Um, Here's another one: found a salamander in a ditch and kept it as a pet. Um, and this is kind of later on in my undergrad. And some of these I've been thinking a lot about these paintings coming into my MFA, and creating new work, as I feel like a lot of these paintings were kind of like the starting point of where these ideas have come from. And this is kind of where I started in these next two paintings, exploring, what is the difference between indoor space and outdoor space, as domestic space. Often I was representing more interior references to like interiors. And so in these next two, I'm kind of thinking a bit more about outside spaces, and yeah, just these memories I have of like running around outside. And a lot of my childhood was spent not just indoors, but also out. And so here's another one that kind of plays off that too. Grape popsicles are my least favorite popsicle. And um, yeah, this one even just references the memory of being outside in the summer sun, and you have this like popsicle syrup like dripping down your fingers as it kind of melts in the hot sun. Um, and I think that's something that I've tried to kind of portray in the marks as well, is there are these kind of messy, quick marks, often sometimes kind of like moving in and out of each other, responding to the architecture, maybe not at all. Um, and it's been really fun to use, like I said, there's like you can use different mediums to kind of get a more wet looking paint once it's dry. Um, and all of that I think kind of can reference these little moments. This kind of purple mark could even represent like the dripping, popsicle syrup and that kind of thing. So I'm really interested in how kind of our memories accumulate within domestic space and how they kind of build upon one another. And I find that really interesting as well when I think about painting, and how kind of brushstrokes and color build layer and atmosphere in a work. And so paint has really kind of provided me a way to explore how memories, kind of build up and break down the spaces in which we exist. Um, I think for myself, I'm often referring to my past, or these memories I have as a child. And a lot of that kind of influences, um, my life now, or the way that I think about life now, just being a more reflective person. Um, but yeah, these next couple of slides are some more recent work that I kind of was doing in the spring. So this one's called "We're Friends in My Dreams." A smaller kind of, almost study, I would say. Um, and here's another one. They talk about things I don't understand. Again, I kind of made this one in the spring, this past spring, 2022. Someone I thought I should mention who's had like a very great influence on my work is the philosopher named Gaston Bachelard. And his work specifically, I really enjoyed reading in my undergrad, and I've recently kind of picked it up again, to kind of spark some new thoughts around this. This stuff is called The Poetics of Space. And specifically in his writing, he kind of looks at how, in kind of the shelter of domestic space, um, the habit of daydreaming and imagining becomes very natural to us as children. And so that's something I'm kind of interested in exploring in my work, is not just like representing these real memories, but almost those imagined ones, or that imagination daydreaming side, of ourselves when we're in, domestic spaces. So I thought I would kind of end this with just some kind of exploration that I have also been kind of doing over the summer, um, and even kind of started to do in this kind of first month of school. Not only have I been painting on canvas, but I've also been kind of exploring painting on photographs. And I know, so this is called a Let's Play Barbies, and they're very small. They're kind of like your classic printed photo size, 5 by 7 inches. glossy, but they're actually, I was going through some family archives this summer and just kind of pulling like photos, um, yeah, of our home and exploring what it'd be like to actually paint on that. Um, I think it's just interesting to think about um, the object of like an actual photograph and how that kind of becomes this memory, this kind of object that's printed. And then I'm also kind of adding these things on top with paint and pastel, and having these marks kind of on top of it. Sometimes even obstructing, and often obstructing kind of the photo, but also giving glimpses into this kind of memory. So I don't know, it's a very new idea, but I thought I'd kind of throw these in there. And here's another one, home from 2013. And again, just kind of a smaller one. So I'm not totally sure where these will lend themselves. Um, but yeah, that's me, that's my work. And yeah, thanks so much for listening.